Say my name, say my name.
My name.
I'm your
Oh,
husband.
we are live. We are live.
Maya, you always do this to us.
My
We're
I
in the
told
middle of
you we were
something
going
foolish.
live. I said we're going live.
Terrible.
But no, as you guys can see, it is that time. As I always say, I want you guys to start saying in the comments when you see the notification come up. I want you to say it. You know what time it is. You see the crew. It is time for a recap. If you do not know what the recap is, basically what we do is we come every Monday at 5:30 and just recap service that we experienced yesterday, our encounter services. Bishop is continuing this Chestnut Checker series, and he just concluded with the Curse Breaker, which next week he's going to talk about angels and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
every segment, every part of this series is incredible. And these titles. So I'm excited for the next one, but we have so much to cover. So let's get everything out of the way first. But if you do not know, this is the Recap family. I am Brother Kev. And as you can see, we have a new setup. Let us know if you're liking the new setup tonight. I think like we're a group, like it's looked like we're a singing group. I like it though. But next to me, we have my partner in crime, my sister Des. The one that gets me in trouble, and I take the fall for it because that's my road dog. That's if you see me, you see Des. And then next to Sister Des is our leader for social media, our fearless leader, Sister Maya, who gets it together, right?
Watch it.
Oh yeah, see. So all right. Here we go, Maya. Is it City or Katie? I always forget from YouTube.
It's Katie.
Katie, I am so sorry, Katie. I love it too. I'm glad you like the setup as well. But as you guys are coming in and you're just doing your good evenings and everything, as I said yesterday on Recap, and like I said last week, this month is a special. Thank you, Katie. Now I know. Now it's Katie. Now this month is a special month because this month is Transforming Lives Month. And if you go to Bethany, you know how important Transforming Lives Month is. And during this month, basically what we do is we just we get out there more. And we get out there and we help bring more people to the church during this month. We do that all year round, but we really gear it towards this. And we have the Rev here. Good old Rev Rich.
Hey y'all, sorry for my delay.
No, you're cool, Rev.
Good to see you. Hey Des, hey Maya, hey.
It's good to see you as well,
good
as
to see
always. But no, this month we really gear to really bring people back to church and help them rededicate their lives and get connected. And I think I'm not even going to say I know that this month is very special during this year because we are in this pandemic and we have been away from the church physically other than, Saturday drive-in service, but we have been away from the sanctuary for over a year now. So I know that, there may be some people out there that feel disconnected, and this is the month to help them get reconnected with the house, get reconnected with God, and just reconnected with the body. So this month, throughout the month, we want you guys to please invite family, friends, co-workers, neighbors, Facebook friends that you haven't seen in a while, old classmates. We want you guys to invite them on all of our broadcasts, Monday through Sunday, on every broadcast. As you guys know that we always have something on every night. So we want you to invite them, right? So on each broadcast, there's 3 things I need you to do. First thing, I need you to like it, right? We need you to like it. The reason why you need to like it is because then it'll be posted on your feed so other people can see it, right? And then secondly, I need you to share it just in case when you like it and didn't get on your feed, just in case if you share it, it's definitely going to be on your feed when you're looking through everything. So make sure that you are sharing the message. And thirdly, please make sure, if this is your first time joining with us on any of our broadcasts, please make sure that you type in the comments VIP, because we want to show you some good old hospitality that we do here at Bethany. We want to show you a whole lot of love. We want to shout you out. We want to thank you for joining us. And we just want to make you feel comfortable. We want to make it feel like we're sitting in your living room right now, just having this conversation, right? So there's three things: like, share, and make sure you put VIP in the comments, right?
And
go ahead,
can I say, don't underestimate the power of your share button.
Yes.
As easy as it sounds, it can go a long way. For example, I shared Sunday's message. Wasn't even thinking about it, just click my share button. And I had someone on my friends list who I hadn't talked to in like 10 years since I've been in high school.
Wow.
And oh, more than 10 years. I wish it was 10 years.
This year's my 10 years.
We'll pretend like it's 10 years. But I've had someone who I haven't talked to in a really, really long time watch and, like the Facebook page and become part of what our Connections Church family is. So, when we say to click your share buttons and to let people know that we're live with service, we're not, telling you that just to say it. It really does have an impact on people. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I will agree with you. When I shared on, that's what I was just doing, just sharing on my page. Even people I run into, family that I run into, they may not say it on Facebook, but when I see them, they're like, I watched it. I love that broadcast. I liked it. So, you don't know who watches it. There's so many different people out here. So, please make sure that you're liking, you're sharing. And if you are, this your first time, tuning in with us, make sure that you put in the comments VIP, because we want to make you feel really special, make you feel welcome here. Not only is it Transforming Lives Month, we have so much going on in August. We are also preparing, it's the last month of the summer, and we always want to send our children back to school properly, right? So what am I talking about? I am talking about Catch the Fire. August is the first initiative that we're going to start off for that rest of this year. We do a Thanksgiving one and we do a Christmas one as well. But I want you guys to gear up for Catch the Fire. And you may be asking, what is Catch the Fire? And it's basically our initiative that we do, our back to school initiative that we do. We collect all the school supplies so, we can send all of our children to Bethany, or those that, are local, send them back to school properly with the proper items such as notebooks, hand sanitizer, excuse me, I can't speak tonight, masks, pencils, pens, book bags, it all, because you never know, during this time it's very hard. So you don't know who may be struggling or who may need that extra push. So, not only do we provide them, but we also, if we are a praying church, we pray over them, we touch and agree over all those supplies. So we want to make sure that we send all of our students back to school to have a successful academic school year. So please make sure that you stay tuned to all of our postings on social media, when the dates are, how you can give, and also know about our partnership, because we do a partnership with the Cherry Hill 5 and Below, where if you go, they give a percentage back. So, that's more supplies, right? So it's touching so many people. So Sister Maya, can you break down the details of Catch the Fire for us, the dates, the locations, and what can people expect?
So Catch the Fire has actually started now. We're in the process of making sure we go and get the school supplies, like Brother Kevin said, and we have the affiliation with 5 Below, where 10% of your proceeds go back into the fundraiser. So you can start collecting now, but our actual the day that we're giving out everything is on August 21st at 9:00. At Lindenwold High School, and we're looking at several other places around South Jersey. So we'll make sure to let you guys know where those will be. But the day is August 21st at 9 a.m. And it really is just a great opportunity to, one, most importantly, give back and to show God's love to people in our community. But it's great just to see each other too, and to fellowship in this way.
Most definitely. So it's Transforming Lives Month. Oh, go ahead, Reverend
Kev, if I could say, don't think that whatever you can do is too small, whether it's a pack of pencils, a pack of erasers, like was said, some hand sanitizer. all those things add up, and we need all those things. And there's people that just can't afford those things. So don't think that whatever you can donate is, oh, this not big enough. No, it doesn't have to be, big enough. Every little bit helps. It's just like the woman who came and gave the one mite, and Jesus said she gave more than all the other folks that gave a lot of money because it was from what she had. So please don't be afraid to give whatever you can for the Catch the Fire initiative.
That's right. That's so true too. So please don't, no matter how small or no big, does not matter as long as you're just out there. And if you are interested in volunteering those days as well, please make sure that you contact the church if you wanted to volunteer as well. So, we have Transforming Lives, we have Catch the Fire. And then also this month is special because it's someone's birthday month that's up here. Can you guess who?
I don't know.
It's my birthday month. She thought that I was just going to let these days go by without me mentioning it. I forgot to mention it yesterday, so I'm going to mention it now. It is Sister Maya's birthday month, so you know how I feel about birthdays. If you stay tuned to the recap, you know how I feel about birthdays. We want to celebrate her all month long because she does so much behind the scenes for her. So we want to make her feel special all month long. So when you see her on the broadcast, I don't care if it's Maximize Monday, Engage, one of the questions, just please make sure that you say happy birthday. Her birthday is this Saturday, Katie. Her birthday is this Saturday, and she will be seeing another beautiful birthday. And we are so thankful for Maya. So we want to wish her a happy early birthday. This is your month, Maya.
Thank you.
Of course. So with that being said, before we get into the word and everything, since it is the first Monday of this month and Transforming Lives Month is such an important month throughout the year, I just want to ask you guys about your first experience when it came to rededicating your life and joining Bethany. Just so maybe it may inspire someone who's watching and wants to rededicate their life. Can you think of that time when you first joined Bethany and the feelings that you had, and when you first joined your ministry and you started working and volunteering? Like, what was that feeling like for you? Or it may be volunteering at Catch the Fire. Can you talk about that experience, where you were then and where you are now? Like, I'll just say for myself, when I joined Bethany with my mom and my sister, and I didn't know what we were doing. I just knew we were at church, and all of my mom taking my sister and myself by our hands, and we're just walking up, and you see Bishop at the end smiling like this with a big old hug, right? I would have never thought from that moment that I would be here talking about that experience. So for anyone that's tuning in, that may be a little afraid, maybe hesitant of volunteering or actually, joining a church. You may have been watching this for weeks, months now. And you're like, maybe this is the month to do that. I'm telling you right now, as Bishop always says, if you give the church 6 real months of your life, you will be transformed, which is why it's called Transforming Lives Month, right? So that was my testimony. I would have never thought I'd be here right now talking about it. But how about you guys, from the moment when you joined to now? How are you feeling, so we can, inspire some people during this month?
I'm with you, Kevin, because I'm a very, quiet person. I'm not someone to be out and on the screen and stuff. I saw those eyes, Reverend. But no, I like you, my parents came to Bethany when I was very young, and I remember there were multiple times leading up to the actual day that I did give my life and joined church that I thought about it and wanted to, but then I was scared because it's a big church, everyone would be looking, and you know how it goes.
Yeah.
But I remember a pivotal moment was just like, I don't care. I need to do this. I need to give my life to Christ, and I need to be part of this family that is here. So that happened when I was 8. And it's just been a journey ever since to be here now and to see how I've grown spiritually, and how we've grown as a church, still just being centered on Christ and, opening up so that more people can get to know him too. But it really is, it's not just a slogan. It's not just transforming lives one at a time. Like, it's the real deal. Your life will be transformed without you even realizing it, just by being involved and doing different things here. So
Yeah.
that's my journey.
Sister Des, how about you?
Yeah, I think I shared before my my walk up journey. I don't really remember my legs moving. I kind of just remember being in my seat and then having tears in my eyes and then standing in front of Bishop. Like I don't remember walking to the pulpit
Mhm.
to do anything. Um, and then I remember Reverend Prescott came over and like took me to the back and like they had the conversation with you and everything. Um, yeah, it's the best decision I've ever made. And not to like to rededicate, that like because I was already, that 1 foot in, 1 foot out type of person. And I
Yeah.
felt like I've always teetered that line. Um, but getting more involved in different ministries here. And now like us moving virtually, this is I think this is the most involved that I've ever been. So it's like it's definitely it's definitely now a part of like my blood, like it's a part of who I am now. Bethany is more than just the church at this point. It's part of identity. So yeah.
That is so true. That is true. I feel the same way. So Rev Rich, now I know you have some stories for us, good sir. Now being a leadership now, come on. And then we got that throwback picture of you at your wedding and everything. Look, I can't wait to hear. Tell us about it, sir.
It's a story. It's a story. I had just relocated back to Jersey from Pittsburgh because I went to grad school and was working in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
I actually was ordained a deacon at my church in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And so I had moved back home because I started another job in Philly. And I went to the church where I kind of had grown up with when I was in junior high school. And the pastor was like, "Oh, you got to come back. We're glad you're back." And I was like, "I'm not sure I'm coming back yet." And so I was moving around different churches, and my mom said, "Well, we should go check out this church in Summerdale," because Bethany was in Summerdale at the time. So we went in there, and it was like, what is going on in this church? Because it was at the time, it was, you're saying this is 1992, November of 92. And it was probably, I don't know, 400 or 500 people at the time. But every weekend it just kept growing. And so I walked up, I think I was there for 3 weeks. And then it was like, it's like when the disciples said, "What kind of man is this that he calms the seas?" It was like, what kind of church is this? It was like on Sunday, it was like the roof was coming up. The disciples of Christ would be singing. It was crazy. I mean, it was just like crazy how much energy was in the place. So I walked up. Deacon Peter Allen, God rest his soul, was the one who counseled me, and I joined. I was on the scholarship committee. I was on the sound ministry. Believe it or not, I was in the back in the booth doing the sound. Believe it or not, and I remember the second Sunday I was there. First Lady Evans, we went to high school together. If y'all didn't know that, we went to high school together. She said, "Hey, well, have you met my husband?" I said, "No, who's your husband?" She said, "It's Pastor Evans." At the time, it was Pastor Evans. She said, "Pastor Evans." I said, "Oh," and so then we met, and then he, I don't know how he found out. Oh, she asked me, "Was I saved?" I said, "Yeah, I've been saved. I'm a deacon in Pittsburgh." And she said, "Oh, have you met my husband?" And then he found out I was a deacon. And next thing I know, because at the time there's only 3 deacons. It was Deacon Harris, Deacon Elliott, and Deacon Allen. And the church was just growing. And next thing I know, he's like, "Well, you got to help." And it was a great experience. And at that time, it's no less energetic than it was then, but because we were just growing. I mean, the church holds 4,500 people today. Back then, that church might have held 800, and it would be crowded. The men had to stand along the walls so all the women could sit down. We had 3 services, 7, 9, 11. It was in the evening service. It was crazy, but it was wonderful. It was a wonderful experience. I'll never forget.
That's awesome. And this is why I just
wanted to point out one more thing that is unique. All of us go to church where our family goes to church, where our parents go to church, where our little cousins or wherever go to church. So it's not one size fits one person. It's one size fits all. Right. There's something that's there for everyone, regardless of your age, You know, we have ministries for people in all different aspects of life. So,
Most definitely.
yeah, this one for everybody.
Yeah, there's something for everyone. What I'm loving about this is just like hearing every one of our stories and like how they're so different, but also the same in so many in so many words, right? So I want to encourage anyone that is tuning in that, you've been watching us for some time, or may have, like Bishop said, you may step away from the church and you want to rededicate your life. This is the month to do that. Even though the church is closed physically, we are still moving virtually. So even if you're geographically locked out, we have the Connections Church where you have all access to all of our ministries, panels, the discussions and everything. So please use this month to just get get ready and get revved up, end the summer off on a right note, and just rededicate your life and just come back. And, we're still connected. As you can see, we are still being fed throughout the week with the word, and the worship is dynamic, as well as, there are services and different things that we have going on. So please, I encourage you, if you are not already, please, please, please join us this month, and also invite someone who is looking for that church home to where they feel good, they feel at home, right? So speaking of that word, Bishop still in his Chestnut Checker series, and he finished part of, the Curse Breaker. He finished the Curse Breaker. Now we're moving on to another part of it, right? I feel like it's like a curriculum book. And like we just finished unit 3. Now we're moving to unit 4. And then unit 4 has different quizzes and stuff, right? But nonetheless, Bishop is teaching in this thing. I can't stress enough how important we needed this series, especially with us just dealing with spiritual warfare throughout this year, whether it's internally or externally, or, behind closed doors or in front of people. We all have been dealing with something or battling something. And this has literally been the blueprint for us, for our understanding, especially those people that may be like, hey, I need to talk to someone. Bishop is talking to us personally every Sunday with this message, with this series. So if you have not already, joined, please make sure that you go back and watch previous services so you can catch up to what Bishop is talking about weekly, right? So he came out of the book of Job, chapter 2, verse 3. So I just want to ask you guys, since this is the conclusion of the Curse Breaker, what were your thoughts about, Bishop talking about curses? Now we talked about witches, we talked about the prophets, we talked about now we're talking about curses. What were your thoughts about his conclusion with the Curse Breaker? The floor is yours.
I think that we gain insight.
Honestly,
that we
I don't
wouldn't
know,
have.
because it's just so.
Wait, you're frozen.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I think that we've definitely gotten knowledge that we wouldn't have normally have gotten from a preacher. I think Bishop has a way of really telling it how it is in his sermons, which I really appreciate, and I know that we all need, even when it's the ugly stuff, the stuff that is the nitty gritty, dirty stuff that no one wants to really talk about, or like is taboo and shies away from. It's like, no, it's stuff that you really need to hear, because it's not our lives are not a game. It's not anything you can play with, so I really appreciate his thoroughness with teaching.
Right. Go ahead, Sister Mai. You're all good now. You're muted now. But you're it's that birthday age. When she gets close to her birthday, she starts acting up.
I agree with Des. I think it's really fantastic that Bishop is taking the time to talk about this. This is heavy stuff. It's the stuff that, sometimes we don't like to think about as Christians, curses and demons and, all of that scary stuff that is part of spirituality. So I'm just glad that he's talking about, that he talked about the Curse Breakers series. But then I'm also really excited about what's coming next, because it's about angels.
Yeah.
And I know it's going to be like what we just went through times 10. So yeah, it's good.
Go ahead, Rev Rich.
I agree with everything that both Sister Des and Sister Maya has said. I've heard some people say, well, why is it taking so long? We're still on this. When Bishop, he's an anointed man, he gets this word from God and he takes his time so that we get it and we
Absolutely.
remember it. And there's enough to talk about in curses. There's enough to talk about in witchcraft. There's enough to talk about in demons, that it's important that you take the time to go through it. I remember when he did Romans verse by verse, and it took a few years to do it back at the old church. So just embrace the way that he's presenting this word and make sure that you're getting the tidbits of it as you go through it. Because as Maya said, when we get into this angels thing, and here's a question to y'all: have you ever walked away from in an interaction, whether it was that day or that moment, you said, that was an angel? It's the most powerful thing. It's like, wow, that was an angel. Because the Bible says angels are among us, right?
Yes.
Just like demons are. So I can't wait to hear what he's going to say on that, because it's funny when we've all entertained angels unaware, and then after we leave, then we're like, wow. Particularly if we have the Holy Spirit, he's like, wow, that was an angel. It's pretty cool.
But see, now, Rev Rich, now you done brought something to my head. Now I'm understanding what Bishop's doing. So we learned about curses and how you can curse others and stuff like that. So now talking about those interactions with those angels, did we curse some angels? Is that why we learned about curses and then going into?
Well, the Bible says, be careful that you entertain angels unaware, right? And sometimes if we are in a backslidden state or a non-saved state, that we entertain them and we don't know that we entertain them. But when the Spirit has his activity in us, we still may entertain them, not know that we've entertained them until after the fact. Sometimes before the fact or during, but sometimes it's not till after the fact. And you just hope that you hope that you did the right thing, right? You're like, uh-oh, let me go repent. Uh-oh.
Oh no. But no, I agree. Like, I am excited. No matter how long it's taken, when it is the word of God and when you're being taught, you see why you can't rush this, because it's topics that we try to push under the rug, right? Because
and I was gonna say, there's a reason why he's walking us through this slowly. Every message has some sort of impact of whatever we're going through in life right now. So even just thinking prior to the pandemic, like, we had a whole message, and Bishop, we did a prayer over oil, where he had everyone bring in oil from home so he could anoint it and prepare us for whatever. Now on the latter end of things, we can say, oh, this is why we need this oil to help get us through the pandemic. So, don't take for granted. I know sometimes we like to rush and get through things, but there's a reason why we're going through this sermon series. So
absolutely,
I expect no less for this one.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Sister Des.
Can I also say, like, not to like cause like any stir anything, but I also like just love that Bishop isn't a clout chaser. Like, I love that he like moves on his own regard, and he moves to the beat of his own drum, with a beat of God's drum. You know what I mean? He's not doing it for anybody's approval, or like, he's doing it because he knows God's people need it. So I really do appreciate that in his teaching.
Yeah, that's one thing. Bishop is not a cloud chaser. That man's going to speak on what he wants to speak on. He's going to teach how long he wants to teach.
Right,
He's
whether you like it or not.
Right. You're going to get something out of it. Trust and believe me. Right. So over the last few weeks, we have learned that a curse is nothing more than a hindrance. It is speaking something that lessens a person's life, reputation, public standing, or their ability to do a thing. We learned that when you curse someone, the curse comes back at you, which you don't want to be a part of that equation. When you have a dilemma, when you have a complaint, or when someone is mistreating you, you should not try to speak a word of hindrance over that individual, because that is what a curse is, which will hinder you from doing or being what you're attempting to be and what God has called you to be. Instead of trying to handle it on your own, your best bet is to tell God about it and allow God to move on your behalf. You can bring a curse or a hindrance into your own life by getting out of line with the will and the heart of God. In the same token, you can bring a curse upon yourself when you get together with a few people and decide you're going to hinder someone who was doing the work of the Lord. So when it comes to curses, what do you believe is the biggest misconception? Because when Bishop used that example in this week's sermon where there was someone that was on the choir and try to, leave the choir and try to see if their absence was missed and stuff like that, that really like took me through a whirlwind. Like, wow, like people actually have that mindset even in the church, right? So what do you think is the biggest misconception when it comes to curses?
That they're real. I think people have a misconception that they're real. It's just like if I say I can do that or I can't do it, that's what's going to happen. I'm going to be able to do it or I'm not going to be able to do it. As soon as I say I can't do it, it ain't happening. I didn't curse myself, right? So I think the biggest misconception though is that people don't believe that they're real, that there's there's no substance to that being possible. And we've seen it. We've talked about mental health. We've talked about family environments. We've talked about encouraging ourselves. We know that parents have cursed their kids just by telling them, bad things, or parents have blessed their kids by telling them positive things and feeding into their spirit. So I think the biggest misconception is that people don't believe that they're real.
And I feel like for me, I think some people, like you said, Rev, they don't believe that they're real because they've gone for years like just cursing at people, cursing people, and it's never caught up to them. So they're just like, oh no, I'm good. So I think that timetable of when God is going to handle you, people have that they don't get that, it's real, like it's going to happen. You just can't go out here and doing certain things. It may not be as fast as like that, but something's coming, right? Go ahead, Sister Mai.
And I agree. And I think sometimes people might think that they're passing it one way and not expecting that it's going to come back on them. So I think that's definitely a big misconception that people don't consider before they, spew out their curses.
Go ahead, Sister Des.
Mine is kind of piggybacking off of River. It's just like just not understanding the power of your tongue, the power of your words, and whether those things are good or bad. You're just like being cautious and being mindful of what you're saying because you have no idea of the impact of what your words are doing, So, yeah.
Absolutely. So Bishop stated that we have to be careful about what we say to ourselves. Bishop asked the questions, what are you saying to yourself about the business that you started? What conversations are you having about the position you just received on the job? What are you saying about the career move? Are you speaking those words that cast doubt upon the integrity of which God has provided for you? What words are you saying to yourself to hinder your own mind? In addition, what are you internalizing what other people are saying to you? So these are so many questions that we're going to spend some time with, right? Just breaking down. Because when Bishop was talking about, he gave the story about his guidance counselor, how his guidance counselor basically told him like, oh, I don't see you doing this, that's that, and the third, you need to stay here. That really resonated with me because when I started my college career, like any college student, you change your major a million times. You never go right into college. If you do, God bless you, but not me. Kevin changed his major a couple of times, right? But one major in particular that I wanted to be a lawyer, and my problem why I stopped is because I allowed a professor to stop me. I allowed their words to stop me. And to this day, I still beat myself up. Like I'm thankful for my career. But I always have that what if in my head if I didn't listen to that professor. So when Bishop shared that story, it really resonated with me because I'm just like, sometimes people really don't understand the power that their words have. And that guidance counselor that day, if Bishop did follow his, his guide, his words and his, what he thought would be best for Bishop, would we have saw Bishop today? Right. So like that stuff like that goes through my head. And which is why, like right now, like, I'm in education and everything, and I deal with students every year. That's why when students come to me and they ask me like, oh, I don't know what to do. I always say, well, what do you like? Because I don't want to be that guidance counselor. I don't want to be that person to steer someone the wrong way. So let's have that conversation first. What do you like? What are some things that you enjoy? And I always say, what would you do without any pay? So what are your thoughts about that, especially Bishop using that story of his guidance counselor and, me piggybacking off it? Go ahead, Rev Rich.
I think you can still be a lawyer, Kev. You are, if that's what you wanted to do and you have a gift for it and that's what you wanted to do, you can still do it. It's not too late, Still got to put in the time, but it's not too late. 3 years will go just like that. Believe it or not, 3 years will go just like that, and you'll be a lawyer. But that story resonated with me too, because my guidance counselor in Edgewood, I went to Winslow number whatever 4 it is now. I guess it was Edgewood High School. Edgewood High School back in the day. Yeah. And my guidance counselor at the time, he said, well, he came in, I'm a senior. He said, what do you want to do? I said, well, I think I'm gonna play football or basketball. He said, professionally? I said, yeah. He said, well, let's talk about that. Do you know how many high school basketball players there are? And when he went through the numbers, he said, do you know how many colleges there are? And he went through the numbers. You know how many professionals there are? And he went through the numbers. He said, look, you're a smart guy. You do great in math and science. I'm not saying you can't be. What I'm saying is that maybe you should figure out on something you want to study. Absolutely. Probably in the math and science space. And if you play ball at school, fine. And if it turns out, fine. But he didn't say it ain't going to happen. He just gave me the data and then said, hey, you're on the honor society. You're doing this and this in science and math. And what did I end up doing? I wasn't like you, Kev. I'm sorry. I started in chemistry and I finished in chemistry. But it's the dynamic of what you see there. I can give you another story where they told us our son didn't need to be in the advanced classes, and we ended up taking him out of school and putting him in the private school where he was president and honors and all this stuff. So people speak these things into you, or they speak them into your kids or your family members. And even if they do, you have to be able to say no. No. And you got to do what's best for you or your family or your kids or whatever.
Absolutely.
I agree with that. You need to be able to use that discernment because there are people who are going to place that curse in your life of what you can't do or you're not good enough for this. But, and I say this, Kevin, because it's something that I struggle with too. What if I had done something differently? Would my life be different? Would I be doing this? Would I be having a bigger impact or whatever? Absolutely. Having those thoughts are a continuation of that curse because it's negating everything powerful that you're doing right now. Right? So be mindful not to carry that on. There's so much great stuff that you're doing. And I think we have to be able to recognize and give that glory to God that, okay, this isn't what I thought I would be, but you're still using me for something greater.
Right. Come on, man, Maya.
Got me over here. She's Minister Maya.
I appreciate that. But no, that's so and Bishop sharing that really stirred up in me because it's just how many people are out here that are lost like that because of they internalize the words of other people. But having the right influence that we've been learning throughout this series really shows you that, you went through those things to get to here, right? Go ahead, Des. Were you going to add something?
I was going to say sometimes it's the people closest to you that are the ones that try to talk down to you as well and try to deter your dreams or tell you that you can't do something or you're not supposed to be doing X, Y, or Z. And when those moments come about, if they're parentals or guardians or whatever, you want to make sure that you're finding, like you said, Kev, finding people outside of them, So in your case, it was your guidance counselor who said something negative to you, but sometimes somebody might need to go to a guidance counselor that's going to lift them up, So it's finding your circle, finding who is rooting for you,
Absolutely, absolutely. And I will say that, I don't beat myself up because, like you said, Sister Maya, I am grateful for where I am now and all that I'm
Mhm.
doing. But for anyone that's in the comments or anyone that watches this later, watching right now, we just encourage you, there are people there to talk to. You have leadership at the church if you ever are feeling in that, or you're internalizing those things, because a lot of the questions yesterday on Engage were geared towards past hurt or things, grudges that people hold,
Mhm.
and actually forgiving those. One question in particular, someone asked, that how do they, if they offended someone, what are the steps that they need to take when it comes to getting right back with God? And Bishop basically said, you go to God first, and you ask God for forgiveness, and then you not ask for forgiveness, but you reach out to that person and everything. But I feel like that's a lot of things that we deal with is that past hurt, and we internalize those things. So let's talk about that, about people, internalizing past hurt, past words that people may have shared on them that affects their future now or their present. What are your thoughts about that?
I wish I could find this. I can't remember exactly how Bishop said it yesterday because he said it so beautifully, like he always does.
That man,
But
he just
I
has
tried I tried to write it down, but I can't find it. But essentially what it was saying is that we all have hurts or, challenges that we face, but by continuing to sit in it
Mhm.
is continuing the challenge instead of growing from it or moving past it to be better or something along the lines of that. I'm gonna see if I can find it. If I can find it, I'll post it later. But it was just so beautiful because we all have something, but we all have the power to, decide what we're gonna do with it,
Right.
right?
How about you, Sister Des? What are your thoughts about people internalizing those things, and what steps should one take when it comes to releasing all those that past hurt and stuff like that? Especially, I would love to hear your perspective coming from yoga background of releasing that energy. I know that's a big part of yoga, releasing that negative energy, that bad energy, to actually soak in it and actually get what you're practicing. But go ahead.
Absolutely. Like when you hold on to stuff, it literally starts to weigh you down. Like if you bring it into new situations, it's like a venom, it starts to infect those different areas that you thought you were healed from, that you thought you were, moving forward from and moving forward in. And, you know, once that old thing starts to creep back up on you because you haven't really let it go, it starts to taint your present, and then it repeats your future. You know what I mean? Your future then becomes your past situation that you've already been in because you
Mhm.
allowed this thing to continue to drag you down. And with like yoga and meditation and, just different wellness techniques, it it's easy to tell someone to let it go and to drop it. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
definitely easier to say it than to actually feel it and to like do it.
Right.
Um, and so for me, like a lot of stuff, if I'm like, I have to talk to myself. I have to verbally, like audibly say, like, Des, let it go. Cause
Mhm.
like let it go. And sometimes like my aunt, she taught me this thing of like picking it up as if it was a physical thing, like take it and like dump it away from me, like because it's not mine. Like I don't want it anymore. Like physically letting it go because it somehow, it works for me, somehow tricks my mind into thinking that I left that thing over there. I threw it out in the trash. Um, because if not, I'm still, I'm have a death grip on it. You know what I mean? I'm still holding on to it. I'm still carrying it with me. And another thing that I do is a lot of breath work for stuff. So as I start to slow down my breath, I start
Mhm.
to be more present within
Yeah,
myself and be
that's
more
good.
present like where I am, so that I'm like, okay, I'm not, if I start to get triggered by a past situation or like a past sadness, like something actually just right before a recap, something like kind of like did a little trigger for me, and I was just like, I am not in that place anymore. I'm not where I used to be. I'm not in that situation. Let me get a minute, and that's why I was able to come on, because I was actually going to text mine and go, I'm not into it.
You see how God uses you, because that is so true. Because we do go through, and that's like what excuse me, Pastor Nick said yesterday, when it comes to dealing with forgiveness. He said forgiveness is like taking medicine. When it comes to forgiving a person, you may get those triggers that be like, oh my gosh, you hurt me like this, let me take my medicine. It's like until you are fully healed. And that is so true, because we do go through life where we do let go of things. We say we let go of things, but it may be that little thing. It could be a picture, it could be a song, or it could even be a scripture that they may have used, right? That may trigger you, right?
Yeah. And I would also say, like, get like build a healing box for yourself. I listened to this podcast one time that spoke about, like, I forget what they called it, but I call it a healing box. But it's just it's your favorite scripture, your favorite song, your favorite book, whatever it is that brings you back to, like, I am not there, I'm here, I'm present, I'm here, and just really like physically gather those things. So like if it's a favorite song, write that song out and like pull it out that healing box whenever you need it and play it. Play, like, put it on your phone and play it. Just little things to kind of, because like we're human, so we can have days of bliss and joy and peace and have all of God's abundance, and then there's those days where it's like, God, where are you? I just saw you yesterday. You were just in my face yesterday, and now I'm having a day of like, what? I'm by myself. I'm alone, and it's like it's not true. But you need to remind yourself of that, and sometimes you need those things that can just bring you back.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mai, did you find the quote? Okay, go ahead.
Did you tell?
Yeah.
Okay. So he said, faith defeats reason. Stop giving yourself a reason to be hurt. You have a right to be wounded. You don't have the right to stay wounded. Staying wounded celebrates what was done to you.
Wow.
And just putting it in that context of, wow, it celebrates, what was done. It's giving what hurt me the power. I don't like that. So, like, really working on myself to heal, like Des said, get your healing box to do what I need to do to help heal from whatever it is that wounded me, because I'm not giving any celebration to anything that hurt me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Rev Rich, would you like to just add to that about our healing box? Now we got our healing box to talk about. We're gonna put some.
I can't top anything that was said, so I just go to the scripture, and in Philippians 4:8 it says, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are just, true, honest, just, pure, of good report, that are lovely, if there be any virtue, if there be any righteousness, if there be any praise, think on these things. Many times when we're going through things, we can't see those things that are lovely or just or honest or pure or of a good report, but we have to find them, because in all those situations, there is something that God wants you to get out of it, even though it may be hurting at the time. And if the word says it, we should be able to do it. If we're in a situation, it's not a good situation, we have to be able to think on those things, like his word says, to help us get through it. And then when we get through it, as Des said, I love that analogy. You just take it and throw it down. How many times as Christians do we leave things at the altar only to go like this and go back and pick it back up? Right.
Absolutely. That is so true. And I love, like Des said, like having a healing box. I think that's so important for you when you're going through things, like just tapping right into that. Like, okay, let me tap into that thing, right? Because and you said it, Bishop said it in his sermon that we're humans. We're going to have those emotions. We're going to go through things. We can't say that we're perfect and every day is the best day, right? So we see the blessing power concept in Genesis chapter 21, verse 1, and then we see it again in Isaac's story where it came to blessing of his sons. We see the power of words to bless and the power of words to curse. When we look at the Isaac and Rebekah story, Rebekah understands the power of the firstborn blessing, so much so she plots to steal it. Bishop stated that the believer has to come to a revelation, and when the revelation is received, manifestation will begin, and that the words that we speak, especially when we're confessing or decreeing God's words, have inherent power to produce exactly what they're saying. There's power in the word, just like there's a flower or a tree in a seed. I love that. Bishop stated that humans are guilty at times, and we're guilty of the violation of the laws of God, which that violation is cursed. The doom is produced. Escape seems impossible, but Jesus comes on the cross and breaks the curse of the law. It is so human to speak a negative word in response to a negative word that has come your way. On the other hand, it is totally human of a person and God that when someone speaks a hindering word, you counter that with a blessing. This is because the transaction of you blessing the person instead of cursing them destroys a continuity that you would try to create by doing what someone has done to you. So you break that of their words because you don't come back and you don't yoke evenly with their words. You destroy the yoke by speaking a blessing to them rather than speaking the words of venom to them. The reason why I am smiling is because when Bishop was talking about this, it was just like in the head, it's just like, don't cuss them people out now. You know, like we're human and some people may cuss you out. You may cut you off on the road and you want to say some things, but then it's just like, God,
keep it real.
Right? So it just again shows that this sermon, this series is so real and so relevant and so, you can relate to it on so many levels, right? So with this conclusion of the curse breaker, are there any additional comments? As I always say, this hour goes by so fast because the conversation is so good, but any final comments to the curse breaker sermon?
I have a real life story real quick about
Oh,
that
please,
last piece. So this lady I was driving and this lady was in the crosswalk walking across the street, and you know how you turn like into the crosswalk. So I stopped the car and I was letting her cross. She had no business crossing, by the way. It was a green light. But I stopped. I was like, all right, go ahead. You can cross. She flipped me off.
Oh.
And I said, I stopped my car. I was trying to be nice. But you know what I screamed to her? I was like, be nice to the people. And she just... and she
I'm a blessed one.
Around. Right. No, but I was like, be nice to people. But I had a tone about it. So I wanted to say something else. But that's what I said. And so just, yeah.
I'm sure she got the message.
Yeah. That's all I have to say.
No, that is so true, though, because it is so relevant. You do go through life and we're human. Like Bishop said, we're human. Now, does that mean you need to be out here doing X, Y, Z? No, that does not mean that. No, that means that, like Michelle Obama says, they go low, you go high, right? Sister Mai, did you want to add anything else to this sermon series? Well, this sermon in particular, because we're going to talk about angels next week, but the curse breaker.
No, it was good. I'm going to go back and watch it. So I encourage you guys to do that too. There's a lot in it that I feel like the first time you might not get. So you have to watch it again to get all like the idiosyncrasies that are like, oh, I didn't pick up that the first time.
Yeah. How about you, Rev Rich?
Well, I know y'all youngins didn't have albums, growing up, and like we did. We used to get the album, and then we read the words being the album, and you learn the words of the song. But most of the time, for me, I didn't learn the words the first time I heard the song. I had to keep playing that song over and over and over and over. And many times, the word of God and the sermons that we hear are like that. You hear it the first time, you get it, but there's pieces of it that you need to hear it again.
Yeah.
You need to hear it again. And it's okay to go back while you're working out or while you're doing yoga or while you're on your treadmill or while you're driving to work or while you're having lunch or before you go to sleep, to put that thing in and just listen to it.
Yeah.
And just let it in that time that you have between point A and point B. and get a little bit more of the word there.
Absolutely.
It helps. It helps.
That's why, we get tested throughout our walk, because, Bishop gives us the tools. He gives us the study guide to study. So then when we're ready for those pop quizzes or those assessments, we know how to handle them, right? So as Sister Maya said, and everyone up here, Reverend, did you want to add anything, Reverend?
No, I just want to say, how many times, particularly y'all, that y'all had good parents that you hear something that your parents said, even though they said it 30 years ago, or maybe for y'all 15, 20 years ago, and it still makes sense.
Yes.
So I remember what my dad think. Okay, my dad's gone, but I remember what he said, and what he said still works. And it's okay. It's okay to remember what you've been taught, what we're being taught, because it works. It's not just, it's not all for naught. It's just not, it works, so let's make sure.
Right. That's why it's there. And then especially in those moments when you don't be like, oh, my parent was right. My mom was right. My dad was right. Right.
Yep.
I love that. I love that. So as you guys can see, this week was amazing message. So we do want you guys to go back and please stream if you did not have the chance to, watch service yesterday. But as always, we are packed with a full week of streaming. So, as we are continuing Transforming Lives Month, we are going to continue to invite everyone out to each and everything that's be posted throughout this week, starting with Tuesday with the Focus Singles Ministry at 7 p.m. Please make sure that you're liking, commenting, sharing, and also typing in the comments VIP, right? On Wednesday, we get fed on Sunday and we get fed on Wednesday. Pastor Nick gave us a little sneak peek on Engage yesterday, what they will be talking about on Wednesday. So please come back and join us for some more word and worship for Word Impact Gathering at 7 p.m. on Wednesday. Friday, Bishop wants to just take the time to just say thank you to the Bethany family for celebrating him. It was beautiful seeing everyone just coming together and just celebrate Bishop and just, let him know how much we love him. So please make sure you stay tuned to that on Friday at 7 p.m. And then, of course, going into our packed weekend with our On Point Radio in the morning, 9 a.m. with Bishop and Pastor Nick as they talk about everything that's going on in the world, from sports to politics to the church, right? And then later that morning at 11:30 a.m., we want to invite people. It's Transforming Lives Month. We want to invite people, if you are local, to join us for drive-in service at 11:30 a.m., weather permitted. We get more word, and Bishop is in another dynamic series, The Power of Your Confession, on Saturdays, and that man is on fire out there. I think he is loving the stage, and he's moving. He is just on fire out there. He is teaching, so please join us there. Also, Emerging Worship, Saturday, 6 o'clock in the evening. Please join us as Pastor Nick gives us a word for the young folks, but you can also tune in no matter how old you are. And then also with some incredible worship. And then we go into our Sunday with the encounter service at 8 and 11, with Engage Live at 9:45, with the discussion in between. And then later in that evening with the pre and a post discussion for the 10 Times Better Man series. And it will be at 7 p.m. And then we are back on Monday. Oh, but I did forget to mention after this. Okay.
Had to fix scrap 10 Times Better starts at 5:30.
Okay. Yes. 5:30, 10 Times Better starts at 5:30. Remember, it's a pre and a post discussion. And also later this evening in 30 minutes, you get to experience the drive-in service. So that dynamic teaching I was telling you about, Bishop being on fire out there, you get to experience in about 30 minutes. So please remember, it's Transforming Lives Month. We want to invite as many people to all the services, to all the broadcasts, and, help people feel connected again. And let's end this summer off on the right note. So the drive-in service will be broadcasting at 7 o'clock tonight. And then we are back next Monday with Maximize Monday and another recap. Recap family, you do an amazing job each week. I'm so thankful for you guys, as well as everyone in the comments.
Can we say thank you to our co-hosts, the comments, the viewers?
Yeah, like
from Wendy.
I love they just know what they're doing.
They're the best. They're the best.
They are.
Your comments.
Keisha,
comment.
We see you all. We thank you guys for liking, commenting, sharing. You guys make it 10 times better. So you guys are like our virtual co-hosts.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Bethany family, we love you guys. We thank you guys. And we look forward to seeing you guys on social media throughout the week. Be blessed and have a safe and beautiful week. See you next week.